Live. Guys, let's begin now. I hope everyone is here.
Am I audible? Can you put a thumbs up on the chat? Just wait for a few seconds more. I think we can start. All right, team, we can start, right?
Yes, we are live now. People are able to watch.
So, right, great. Okay, so good evening, aspirants. So welcome to the Aspirant Relations Committee's last pre-TISSNET webinar, Final Tips for the D-Day. I am Devamrutha, and we have the entire ARC crew here, Niraalii, Uttkarsh, Ananya, and Ananyo. We hope your TISSNET preparations have been going really well and your revisions are in full swing. We as a committee have been connected to the aspirants through multiple initiatives, to start with Wistopia, which continued for 100 days, followed by 8 webinars of Chat with Tissians, wherein we tried to cover in-depth strategies of Tissians to making it to their dream college and course. And towards the last leg of your preparations, we rolled out the Twitter initiative, which is still live, to get you covered for specific areas in GK. And today, finally, we are here to make sure you are good to go for your D-Day. So today we shall be covering some exam day strategies, self-management strategies, revision tips, and of course, some basic exam hygiene factors as well. To top it off, we would finally take some questions from you all. So reserve your questions for the end and we'll try to cover as much as possible. So now let's get started. Over to you, Niraalii.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well this evening. I understand that you guys might be going through a difficult time right now in terms of handling yourself, trying to figure out how to attempt the exam in the perfect way possible, which does justice to your preparation. So for that, we have come up with the strategy as to how to attempt the question paper on the D-Day. So what worked for me was personally starting with the easiest section, whichever is your strength, whichever takes the least amount of time, and whichever section boosts your confidence. For me, it was English. So start with that and complete it in the least amount of time, then move on to the more easier, more difficult question section, and then finally to the hardest section. For me, that was hardest in the sense that it took me the most time, so I reserved the most time for maths. So when you're doing this, and this is the first iteration, you're going through the question paper for the first time, and remember, you have the liberty of jumping through sections, okay? So use that. So in the first iteration, wherever I used to feel that there's a question where I'm confused between 2 or more options, I would jot down the question number and the options that I was confused among, so that I don't have to repeat the questions, repeatedly read the question again, right? So I would go through all these sections within half the time. So we have 100 minutes, so I would go through all 3 sections within 50 minutes at least once. And then I'll come back to the question, the section that I'd started with, and I'd do this again. So how this helps is that you build on confidence, you cover the maximum part in the least amount of time, and you are started off, right? So as you know that there is no negative marking in this exam, so please ensure that when you are at the end of these attempts, you attempt all the questions, right? And keep revising whichever option you feel that if this one does not look okay, keep revising that as well. So I think Ananyo might have something to add here. Ananyo?
Sure. Good evening, aspirants. We hope all of you are excited for this session. It gives me absolute jitters because 1 year ago, I was anxious for this D-Day, and now I am here to share my strategy for the D-Day in front of aspirants. So what I did special in that day is that I took a I wanted to finish maximum number of questions in minimum amount of time. And that's the reason that I started with the GK section. So I had already prepared with mindset that I'll finish the 40 GK questions within the first 10 to 15 minutes. So that will give me around 85 minutes for the remaining two sections, which is mathematics and logical reasoning and the English section. And thereafter, I began with mathematics. I mean, the way forward from after finishing the GK section would be to choose the section with which you are comfortable and you feel that you can finish that in minimum amount of time. For me, that was mathematics, and that's what I carried forward. And in between, while solving the paper, there will be questions where one feels that, oh my God, I wish I knew this thing, but I cannot recall the concept. And somewhere you'll be stuck between 1 to 2 options. So the way forward will be not to get emotional with those questions and waste time, because it is a 100-minute paper at the end of the day. So you have to either move on and then come back to that question and allocate your time in such a manner that you have 10 to 15 minutes of buffer time towards the end, so that you can come back to those questions which have not attempted in an earlier round one and then attempt again. And in the question and in the examination, you will find an option to mark the answer for review and come next. In case you're partially sure that your option may be correct, but then you want to review it again, just mark for this option and then come back again. So that will also help you in saving time in finding that question in which you were confused. And we hope that all of you have gone through ways in which you can reduce the time for solving a particular question. For example, in mathematics, what you can do in the remaining days is to cover up all the shortcuts, all the formulas for solving the examination. In the reading comprehension section, you will face long RC. So it will be better if you read it in a manner in which you're able to retain all the keywords of the reading comprehension, and then you're able to attempt the questions without even looking to the reading comprehension, because that will help in saving time as well. So these are some of the strategy for the examination that I would like to share, and for better understanding and clarity, and to gain an idea about the interface of the examination. So in the website of TISS, there's a mock test link which has been updated. So please attempt that mock test. That will give you an idea about the kind of interface that you will probably face on the day of the examination. Next, Ananya will speak on revision.
Thank you, Ananyo and Niraalii. I think 1 year before, I felt that when I listened to your preparation strategy, I think it was somewhat, it was kind of overlapping what I had done too. Now, moving on to the revision part, I think with just 3 days left for the paper, it's extremely important to strategize your revision extremely well, as much important as you will, strategize your paper pattern. So I'd like to help you with, with your revision strategy also. There were things that worked for me. So, you could also give it a try, since, there are lesser days left and it might work for you too. So revision right now is very, very crucial. So I divide the revision part into 3 parts like the 3 sections. Number 1 would be GK. I think by now all of you should have your own GK notes prepared, and you should not be going through your original source right now, because there's hardly day left for the paper. So make sure that you flip through your revision notes for your GK, and if you have highlighted content there, it will all the more help you. So make sure that until the days of your paper, you continuously keep going through your GK notes. It's important that right now, when you go through your notes, you do not really jitter yourself with, mugging up or trying to make yourself angry that I can't recall things, or, I've not been able to, remember everything. Right now, your motive should only be through flipping your GK notes and making sure that you're reading everything and just glancing everything properly. Now, with respect to mathematics, please remember that it's not a time to start any fresh topic or, to bother yourself with something that you've not done before. It will just add to more confusion, and it might affect your already prepared topics. Just make sure that you polish your already done things, in the sense that you have to revise your formulas. Do not touch upon new topics as of now, because that would just lead to more confusion. With respect to your verbal ability section, I'd say the same thing. Do not really, focus upon re-strategizing yourself for your GK comprehension, or practicing new things with respect to your grammar, etc. Make sure that whatever flashcards that you had for your vocabulary, or maybe you had written down your rules somewhere, how to solve your grammatical section or your sentence correction, you just go through them at the most. So this is with respect to your maths, English, and your GK section. Secondly, is that the second thing I'd say is that with respect to your mock test, I think right now, if at all people are there who want to attempt mock tests right now, do not attempt it with the sense of, totally killing them, or, having a high score. If at all you attempt them and you get a low score, do not be really anxious about your score, because right now mock tests are not to gauge how much you've prepared right now. Mock tests can only help you right now to maybe identify your strengths or weaknesses. I think by now all of you might have already gauged what are your strengths and weaknesses areas by giving a number of mocks. However, if you still feel that you're not really sure of, then you can actually go through your past 5 or 6 attempted mocks and just identify what has been your strength areas, so that when you have the real paper in front of you, do not really waste your time in going through the sections that you get wrong again. Or probably when you refer to your mock scores, you will have an idea with respect to what are the common mistakes you've been making again and again. So with respect to that also, you can actually be mindful of them and do not make those mistakes again. Yeah, I think that's it for my side with respect to the revision part. So I think, Uttkarsh, if you want to add something to the revision part.
Yes. So I would like to extend on the mock side of things. Okay. So there would be a huge chunk of candidates who have attempted a lot of mocks in this season, and there would be a few candidates who have never attempted a mock this year. They will be straight going up to the exam. For them, it's nothing to worry about. Any score you get in the exam would be a total surprise for you. Now, for the people who have practiced enough and given mocks, maybe 2, 3, 4, or even 10, 20, I would say it is not a good time to attempt another mock. Personally, when the exam is 2 days ago, I would not attempt a new mock. What I would do is, as Ananya said, I would visit back to the previous mocks. I would identify my strength section and my weakness section. Now, we shared the same thing in CWTs as well. You need to identify your strength sections and your weaknesses in order to work on it. But at this moment of time, you don't need to work on it. You just need to identify that in order to gauge which questions you need to skip and how much time you need to allocate to every one of the questions. And let me give you some examples. Okay, if your mock scores are here, there's a very good chance that you will score higher in the actual exam. You might have heard many examples that people were brilliant at their mocks and scored very lows in the exam. But there are also examples that people have scored very good when compared to mocks in their actual exam. Now, what makes the difference between these two cases is all about mindset. How chill, how calm, how confident you are on the day of the exam. It's all about giving the best things which are already inside you. It's not about producing some magic in front of the desktop. It's just giving the best version of yourself. You can solve the problem because you have practiced that. You have practiced. Even if you have not extensively practiced that, you have passed your 10th, you have enough education qualifications to be able to manage the exam. The only possible way for you to give your best is to be in the correct mindset. So my advice to you right now is to work on your mindset rather than going and exploring new topics for revision. Let's say you suddenly feel that you have little to no knowledge about political situation in India. You need to cover that for the GK part and you start reading political science. No, I'll suggest you no. Work on the part you have already covered, make them rock solid, and just make sure you give your best shot in the exam. Okay, moving on.
Okay, so moving on to managing yourself, I think as much important as we've given to the revision part with respect to the strategy part, it's extremely important that you manage yourself well with respect to keeping yourself calm and ensuring that you're in the right frame of mind on the D-Day. And that does not come only, taking care of yourself on the main day. Make sure that you keep yourself calm and are able to maintain yourself throughout in the coming days. Especially please be mindful that it's an exam which happens in the afternoon, and many of you might feel drowsy at that time. So make sure that in the coming span, in the 2 to 3 days, you actually make it a habit to sit at your desk, especially at that time when you have to give your papers. You can just read up anything, just try and be active in that time span. That's very, very important. Secondly, I'd say is that your physical health plays a very important role in keeping yourself ease at your mind too. So please be mindful of your schedules. Please be mindful of your eating habits too. These are things that do not really come in just one day. So, and there is time wherein you can actually, take care of your sleep cycle and your schedule and your eating habits to make sure that you're very well prepared. You're prepared for the exam on the D-Day. Secondly, for specifics, Niraalii, if you want to add something with respect to, which will help candidates to be, more managed on the D-Day.
Sure, Ananya. So what really helped me give my best on the D-Day was ensuring that I was comfortable in all senses. So you don't have to be just academically comfortable with the exam. You have to be physically comfortable, because at the end of the day, you are going to give the exam physically. You're going to have to wait a lot. You're going to have to sit in front of the computer. So ensure that you are comfortable in your own space when you are in the zone, right? And how do we do that? We would do that, first of all, ensuring that you're not over hungry or sleepy, or you're not uncomfortable in any way. Other than that, ensure that your state of mind is not distracted. While you're waiting for the exam to actually start, revise your mathematical formulae, revise your GK in your own head, so that you stay in the zone of giving the exam and do not feel drowsy or distracted. Other than that, I believe having an inherent faith in your preparation till now will help. And how will that come about in this jittery phase? For me personally, it helped to disconnect from the studies for a bit and just go out in the nature, like have a walk or talk to your loved ones, your parents, your friends, and that actually helps us calm down. Finally, when you're giving that exam, it might just happen that you might face some unexpected difficulties while answering the questions. You might feel nervous, panicky, or there might be some circumstances which are out of your individual control. So in case that you're feeling panicky looking at the questions, remember that it is only one of the many questions that you can attempt and gain marks. So, and move on. Do not get stuck and burn your time there. Secondly, in state of panic, it is very important to focus on your immediate physical self. Just have a look at your hands, your feet. Just feel present in that moment, and you would feel less panicky. In case the situation is not in your control, talk to the center authorities where you are giving the exam paper, and they will surely help you. But do not waste any time in getting all panicky and burning time over it. I think that covers managing yourself. I understand it is very difficult to do the same rather than just saying. So the only thing that really helps is deep breaths and taking it one moment at the time. We can move forward to the next session.
Right. So to start off with, exam hygiene tips may seem trivial to many of you out there, but still there are a considerable number of students who would forget to take their admit cards, ID cards, or maybe even reaching late after the gate closure. So please ensure you adhere to all instructions and the requisite exam hygiene factors. So I'll just quickly run you through the important instructions and conduct that you are supposed to abide by. So as we mentioned before, this is a computer-based test, MCQ test, and then we have also a mock test link on the official website. This is to only acclimatize you with the entire interface. And yeah, so I would suggest that you all give it a try and understand how the entire system works. So your examination is this Saturday, 26th of February. Your reporting time is 12:40 p.m. Once you reach, there will be a COVID screening and verification, and the gate would close at 1:40 p.m. Now, there are still COVID protocols and mandates being followed in certain cities and towns in India. This might lead to traffic congestions or maybe limited travel facilities. So candidates are requested to consider all of this and plan your travel well in advance so that you reach your test center before the gate closes and to avoid any last minute hassles. So your start time of your examination would be 2 p.m. and it would end at 3:40 p.m. That is 1 hour, 40 minutes. The test would be 100 minutes, 100 marks, and no negative marking. So there would be a COVID screening before entering the test center. So if any candidate is having any COVID symptoms, high temperature, or any other symptoms, you would not be allowed to enter without submitting your COVID RT-PCR negative test report to the concerned authorities. Now, as mentioned before, gate would close at 1:40 p.m. and you would not be allowed to enter the test center post that time. And another important thing, make sure you have your original government valid ID proofs like Aadhaar card, your driving license, passport, or college ID. This and your admit cards are two very important documents to be carried for your examination. So now coming to the conduct, your masks are mandatory. Gloves and sanitizers, it's up to you, it's optional. And your exam-related documents, your hall ticket, any ID card, that is your Aadhaar, PAN card, college ID card, or any ID card for that matter, is also mandatory. Now, another important thing that we would like to highlight here is about your TISSNET hall ticket. Now, it is the sole responsibility of candidates to check their name and other details mentioned in the hall ticket, your spelling, initials, your post preferred, the order in which they're preferred. So if at all, unfortunately, you have received your hall ticket without your photograph, do not worry. You can always affix your photograph and get it attested by the principal of a college, or headmaster of a high school, branch manager of any public sector bank, doctor, advocate, engineer, or any officer working with any central or state government office. Also, if at all there are any discrepancies in your hall ticket, your initials have gone wrong, or name has gone wrong, your spelling, make sure you contact the admissions helpline at the earliest and get it rectified. So I think that would cover the important pointers related to exam hygiene factors. And now we are open for questions.
If you have any questions, please free to post them on the chat. And try to be exam centric, as it is the most important. TISSNET is the most important thing right now. Okay. Let's try and pick up some questions from the chat.
Okay, so since some of them were asking with respect to, can we share the mock link? So for this, we have an official Telegram channel in the name of HRM LR TISS Mumbai official. Please join that channel. We'll be posting the direct mock link there, so it will be easier for you to access for the ones who are not being able to, directly find the link on the website. So we can help you out on a Telegram channel. We'll post the mock link directly there.
Yes, as Niraalii mentioned, black and white printouts of the admit card would work.
For all the ones who are posting their mock scores and asking if the mock scores are sufficient, we'd like to reiterate that please do not really get anxious about your mock scores, whether they've been high or low at this point of time. And do not really, set a precedent about your mock score with respect to the original exam as to what you should expect. Please go with a fresh mind. And at this point of time, you can stop referring to your mock scores, or, try and mapping how you would perform in the final exam with respect to your mock. You should attempt the exam with a fresh mindset and just believe in your preparation.
There are questions on the current affairs, how many months are necessary. So ideally, we believe that by now you must be thorough with at least 1 year of current affairs. In case you're not done, we suggest you to go to some source and study the compilations of current affairs before the examination.
Yes, there's a doubt if we score low, will it affect interview? So mathematically, yes, because for the final admission, there's a weighted score of each stage of the exam, which is not declared yet. But yes, there can be a weighted score to the testnet, or they might scrap it. But yes, it is good to have a high score. But yes, people make it through even clearing the cutoff as well. It depends on what the process is acquired in the end. Priya, mock in the law student, we are not talking about giving the actual mock. The mock which is released on the testnet website is only for you to acclimatize you with the interface. What will you actually see on the day of the exam? So that's why we are recommending you to go and check it out. So you know that which button would be placed where, what all options would be available to you, stuff like that. Just for that.
There are questions regarding the safe score for clearing the cutoff. So let me tell you that I was one of those victims last year going with a safe score in my mind, but that should not be the case while giving the examination, because the pattern and the difficulty of the examination might give you a shock on the day of the examination. So last year I felt that the examination was on a slightly difficult level, but since I had gone with a predetermined mindset of scoring this many marks, that didn't work out very well while giving the examination. So the idea should be to score maximum while giving the examination.
There's a question regarding
Yeah,
if
so
they can
somebody,
carry. Yeah, Devamrutha, go ahead.
okay, so somebody has asked about the documents to carry. As stated before, your hall ticket, which should have your photograph, and official government valid ID card, which could be your Aadhaar, your PAN card, driving license, or even if you are a college going student, then your college ID card would suffice.
So there's a question regarding if they can carry their own stationery, pen or pencil for the exam. So no, you're not allowed to carry your personal stationery. Everything with respect to your calculation, your rough sheet is provided there. So do not really carry any personal things for calculation, such as pen, pencil, paper, or your rough sheet. That will be provided at the center itself from the administration.
So there's a doubt regarding if you have to travel 3 kilometers to you have to carry your mobile phone and other stuffs with you. Yes, but in this case, I will suggest you that you make sure to contact to the center and make sure that there are facilities, because these facilities are not mandatory and they differs from center to center. Okay, so first have a right idea and pre-plan your exam day. That would be my suggestion.
So once more reiterating, there is no TISSNET this year. And yes, the weightage for TISSNET would be 50%.
Communication skill low, how can, yes, ARC would be with you throughout the admission process and even after that. Don't worry, we will help you out at every stage of the admission process. COVID screening test. As Devamrutha mentioned, that if you are having symptoms of COVID like high fever or cough and stuff like that, so you might be stopped at the center. So it is recommended in that case you carry a negative RT-PCR report. There you might want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, if you have any COVID-related symptoms, high temperature or anything for that matter, then you are supposed to carry your negative COVID RT-PCR certificate and submit it to the concerned authorities there. And the normal COVID screening would also be there. Maybe your temperature check would happen. That would happen normally.
Somebody has asked whether going through YouTube compilation of current affairs would be preferable to going back to your own current affair notes. I would say that your notes are of prime importance, as you've already gone through and made them. They would be better retained in your mind when you go for the exam, and therefore you should go for your own notes any day. However, if you are done with your own notes and if you feel that any of these YouTube compilations add value to you, do go through them, but do not panic while going through them if you do not remember some of these questions. Just take them as something you're watching just for the sake of it, just for the knowledge of it. Remember that all you have to do in the exam hall is to ensure that you can recall certain concepts and are able to relate certain concepts well. It's not necessary that you are able to remember each detail perfectly. So do not go through the compilations under stress. That is all we would say.
Somebody has asked that on admit card signature is not visible properly. Do I need to get it attested? Well, we would suggest try getting it printed from a different printer. Maybe if you are, maybe try getting it printed again, and then it would that would be enough.
Somebody has asked. Somebody has asked what is the Telegram group name. So we would be posting a link, which is basically a link tree for all our social media handles. So please follow the ones which you feel are relevant for you. There's also another question whether there will be combined cutoff or category wise cutoff. The cutoff would be category wise. However, we would strongly advise you not to think about cutoffs at this point of moment, because all you can do is do your best. And same goes for people who are asking for mock scores.
Ma'am, low academic. Don't worry, Avinash. Test does not judge you on your past. No academic scores are like considered while giving you the final admissions. So I think all the questions are almost covered. So last few things we would like to mention here is that as we mentioned about mindset, be in the correct mindset in the time. And if you feel like this is the do or die day for you, you have attempted these tests for years, and no, it is not. This is just another day in your life, just another test, and it would just decide the career path you're going ahead. Do not overhype, do not overstress, do not do anything over. Just be normal. Normal day, normal exam, everything normal. That is the only way you'll be able to perform on that day. If you overthink this, if you overthink your future, if you overthinking about the result, that is the most dangerous thing you can do. This happens to me actually when I'm giving the test. Actually, when I'm giving the mock, I usually start thinking in middle of the test, what would be my score, will I be able to clear the cutoff or not. Don't do that. Just give the test with a calm and soft mind, and do not get stressed at that particular moment. If anybody wants to add anything else.
Yeah, I just say that attempt your exam like just another mock, although it sounds like very, very simple to say, and understand that it does not really happen that way, but try and follow it as to do not really take your exam of, with that much stress, try and attempt it like any other mock, and just believe in yourself about your preparation. You worked hard enough and it will surely pay off in the time to come. Be patient and just attempt your paper wisely, and be mindful of the time, be mindful of your accuracy. Do not really make common mistakes that you've been making in your mocks. So yeah, accuracy and time management are very, very important. So be mindful of the same.
So that brings us to the end of this webinar. We wish all of you the very best for your TISSNET 2022. So hope to see you all in campus soon. So any closing words, anybody else?
We would only say that keep the Josh high and do not fear. The future is with you, and give your best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, folks.
Best of luck, aspirants. We hope that you loved all our initiatives throughout this year, and we'll be coming with even more after TISSNET gets over. So please stay in touch with us.
All the best.
All the best, guys. We can